So you started getting into like exotic guitars too, or became a fan.
Yeah,
what was the first guitar that you know that was like not a Martin or something that grabbed you?
Well, the first good guitar that I got over my $60 beater was a Taylor.
Okay.
And I still have that. It's a nice guitar. It's 914. It's really nice. But I think when did I first encounter? Well, I started encountering guitars at your old store.
Really?
Yeah,
Wait a minute, you didn't have any like solo builder guitars until you ran into us?
No, I don't think so.
I certainly did not know that.
I'd stop down at your store and I'd go, "What's this? It's not a Martin or a Taylor."
Yeah, never heard of this guy. Right?
And I'd ask you guys about it, and it's this Ed Claxton guy that lives down in Santa Cruz, or you had maybe Kent Hamlin.
That's who I had Kent. I couldn't realize his last name because he was somebody we'd never heard of till he wandered into the store with these guitars. With two really nice guitars, and I'm sure we were the first people that ever sold his guitars. And I know he got out of it for a while, but I think he's back into it.
I think he's back into it.
Yeah.
Doing luthier is a tough business.
Oh man,
he's still pretty young, but he's. I think he's struggled a little, which is unfortunate because he makes great guitars.
Began with Mike Baronick.
Mike Baronick.
And I think Hamlin came to us as a buddy of Baronick's.
Okay,
they went to Luthier school together in Arizona, New Mexico.
Yeah, one of the Luthier schools. Yeah. They're still buddies. A lot of times at Healdsburg they'll have adjoining tables.
Yeah.
I was just at the Healdsburg Festival here a few weeks ago. Kent was not there, but Mike was.
Okay.
And Mike's guitars are just to die for. They're just astounding. Of course,
that's pretty neat because I know those guys were all like just getting their feet wet when we were getting our feet wet as a store, and it was just a joy to have them come in and.
It's been. I can't even remember what the first. Well, actually, one of the first guitars. There's a story around that too. So I discovered sort of this world of these guitars, and I played them there. I went to the Healdsburg Guitar Festival one year and found this incredible thing where there's 100 people all showing hand-built guitars.
Was that still in the Chanticleer place?
That was
before they moved to Santa Rosa.
Yeah, you had to take a bus up.
Right,
and all
no
this
parking.
Stuff.
Yeah.
That was fun. And then I sort of came home puzzling over, how do you pick one of these things? And they're kind of expensive.
Yeah.
So, although they were cheap back then compared
to what's happened in 10 or 15 years. Yeah.
But along the way, I made a really interesting discovery. I was actually at my house one day, and I was sort of telling my parents were visiting from Ohio. My dad's into woodworking and things, so I was just sort of trying to make conversation, and I'm telling him about this thing I just discovered, that there were people out there that built guitars, and I thought my dad would be interested. And I just picked up a copy of Acoustic Guitar Magazine that was laying there on the thing, and I said, like this guy, here's this guy on the cover, name's Kevin Ryan, and he builds these guitars. And my mother yells from the other room, "Well, Kevin Ryan, you went to school with it." I'm going, "Oh, somebody else." Right? There's too many Kevin Ryans. Yeah. And I pick up the magazine, it says, "After moving from Ohio," and I went, "Really?" So she ran up to the computer room in the house and emailed him and asked him where he went to high school. And he responded back instantly that he went to Waterloo High School in Atwater, Ohio, which is where I went to school. And so I didn't remember him real well. He was a few years younger than me. But once I saw a picture, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that kid.
Yeah.
So at that point, I had to buy one of his guitars.
Wow. Yeah.
So that sort of gave me the entry point. My wife saying, "You don't really need a better guitar, do you?" I go, "Oh, come on, it's Kevin."
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we got an ancient bond.
Yeah. So that was actually my first good guitar. I ordered it from him.
He was in L.A. or something?
Yeah, he's down in L.A.
Yeah.
He still is. Probably took a year and a half to order it.
Yeah.
And finally made it. It's a fabulous guitar. And I recorded most of my first CD on that guitar. And with that kind of opened the floodgates. It was, okay, I got this really great guitar, but now I wonder what other flavors are out there.
Yeah.
And so I started checking them out, and you find out that it's just a really rich world of all kinds of guitars. And there's not only different guitars and different styles and tastes that aren't just Martin or Taylor, but one, you can have it custom made. You want
right.
a 13/16 nut, you want weird spacing here, you want a different scale, you want a weird body size, you want certain woods. You can go to these guys' workshop and pick out the woods. And that just makes it may or may not make a better guitar, but it makes it more fun,
Yeah.
more personal.
Yeah.
And you end up exploring and finding out that there's just a different world of things out there. Now, I think most of my time has been spent looking for a sound. I really want a rich, warm kind of fingerstyle sound, and a guitar that's responsive. This guitar is can be almost frightening if I haven't played this for a while. If I've played some of my other guitars that aren't quite as responsive, and I pick this up, it takes me a few minutes to adjust because I find that if I play soft, it's soft, and if I play loud, it's loud.
Yeah.
Buzzing a little. But there's just a different response curve when I'm not in dad yet anymore.
Oops.
There's a different response curve that you have to adjust to. And they aren't necessarily, I mean, they can, but I don't know that I would strum much on a guitar like this. You want something that pushes back a little more for a good strumming guitar.
Yeah.
But you just get this really rich sound and you can play them really light. So I have a bunch of different guitars that have different flavors, but I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
Once in a while I'll come up on something different that I like. I bought a Loudon 022 recently. That's a totally different animal, and it's just nice to have.
That's a really big body size, right? Almost jumbo, pretty much jumbo size.
Yeah, it's a big guitar. It's cedar and mahogany, so it's a much brighter guitar. In spite of the cedar, the mahogany makes it a little brighter. It's a big sound and yet pretty bright at the same time. So it's a different flavor.
Yeah. Well, another time we'll have to kind of go through a few minutes on each different guitar or maybe it's 20 minutes on each one. If you think about just what do you like about this one, and what might you use it for, as opposed to that. One of the things that my kind of stock answer that made the Claxton jump out at me was that the guitar seems very. I never had to fix anything in it. I could make any string, any note sound any way I wanted. I'd never had to compensate for any single note. And almost every other guitar I've played, it's like, oh, I gotta remember if I hit that note, I gotta be careful or something, or I have to hit it harder or whatever. It doesn't resonate. There's a dead spot in the tonal range or something.
I think you get that with the better Luthier
right, and
guitars.
I think that's
there's so much attention paid to it. They usually, the action can usually be really good, and they're consistent throughout the guitar. It's funny though with things like that. The last electric that I owned was a Parker Fly, which is a strange guitar.
Yeah.
But technical perfection, and I actually found that experience with that guitar to be a little interesting. Everywhere you play on that guitar sounds exactly the same, as opposed to a Les Paul that maybe has some sweet spots and some other spots. So I almost found it was too perfect.
Right, it's almost like you're playing a synthesizer.
Yeah. So I almost missed the imperfections, on the guitar. But on an acoustic, I mean, I definitely want that. I don't want to be playing something and want to sustain a note and find out that it just
that one dies. Yeah. And that's a case. Certain notes, because of the open strings, sympathetic vibrations, you go hit a. Well, I was going to pull out a C sharp, but C sharp will get the A string going. But certain notes, an E flat is going to be a note that is not going to ring like an E.
Right.
And
that's one of the fun things about these guitars too. One thing about a luthier guitar, often, not always, but with guitars like Taylors and Martins, good as they are, I like them. I have two Martins, I have two Taylors.
Okay.
But they have to worry about a lifetime warranty.
Right.
And so they build them in a way that they're probably not going to explode next week.
Yeah.
And a lot of the small luthiers say, I don't care about that.
If something happens, I'll fix it.
Yeah, I'm going to build the best guitar I can.
Right.
And a lot of them build to the point, they're looking for that point where the guitar might implode if they're made a little bit lighter. And as a result, they're really responsive. And you do get that. You just get...
That is just, beautiful.
Every string, you're not just playing that string. All of them are resonating.
You can see them. I mean, they're all
and I feel
vibrating a little bit.
them against my back.
Yeah.
So that's one of the fun things about a good guitar, like yours or any of these. Whereas you get that a little less, although some of the Martins are still like that. The two Martins that I have are both Lawrence Juber's signature models.
Oh.
And Lawrence spec'd out just a fabulous guitar.
Okay.
And it's pretty lightly built and a very responsive
Yeah.
guitar. I like those a lot too.
What guitar is he pushing now?
Well,
Let's
you
not
know,
go off into a dark neighborhood here. I haven't been in touch with him much.
well, you know, Lawrence has his basic design that he worked with Martin on that is basically very similar to a Schoenberg, which Schoenbergs, of course, are an attempt to recapture the pre-war Martins. So
Right.
Kind of a full circle thing.
Yeah.
But his specs are just with the Schoenberg cutaway, the right scale length, the right spacing, and so on for him. But then he's just been trying different woods. His latest is Zericote.
Okay.
That as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
But he started out with a Brazilian model, which is what I have one of that. That was a limited edition. Only made a few. Then they did mahogany. Then they did Madagascar. Then they did maple, and now he's on Zericote.
Okay.
Which is really pretty and probably actually maybe you might have a Koa one.
So does that mean at any given time there's only one of these models like in production?
I
or?
think they carry a few different ones. They're really they're almost a Martin custom shop.
Okay, so you
guitar.
can kind of get any one of those made probably.
Yeah, within some reason, I think they won't build with Brazilian anymore. That's a difficult problem for, small luthiers can still build with Brazilian.
Right.
Ed's got a nice little stash at his place, and he's got it, and it's legal, and he's had it.
Right.
But for a big company like
Just,
Taylor
yeah,
or Martin,
keep up on it.
they need, 10,000 sets for this month or something.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
They can't do it.
Yeah.
So they just don't bother.
Yeah.